There are two main attitudes a driver can take when approaching junctions and hazards. One is stopping until decision and the other is going until decision. Let me demonstrate. Firstly, stopping until decision. When I approach the next junction, I'm going to brake enough so that I won't need to increase the brake pressure when I get near the line. For example, now I'm braking and I'm braking enough so it feels like I'll stop by that line. In fact, as I get near the line, I actually have to reduce the brake pressure to let the car roll close enough to the junction so that I can see it's safe to go. Having to come off the brake and let the car roll gently towards the line actually makes the junction safer and easier, particularly for a beginner, but more on that one later. This time I'm going to be going until decision, so I'm not going to brake enough and then I'm going to have to brake harder when I get near the line. So at the moment I'm not braking enough, I decide I can't see, so now I have to brake harder and stop near the line. Now I have to get my gear, make sure it's safe, and then go. If you notice, that time I stopped, whereas the previous time I didn't stop. Stopping on hills is harder in a manual car than if you don't stop on hills. So if the junction was hilly, you'd have an extra thing to deal with. I try to encourage my pupils to take the stopping until decision attitude because it's safer and there are more advantages. If they're braking enough to stop by the giveaway line or by the zebra crossing or parked car, whatever it is, that they don't have to brake harder when they get there. If they decide they need to stop, well, they don't have to brake harder. They just continue braking as they were and come to a stop, meaning the car behind isn't taken by surprise and they're less likely to be rear-ended. If they take the attitude of, you know what, I hope I'm going to go, I'm going to keep the speed up, and if I decide I need to stop, I'll just brake harder. Well, it looks like they're going and then suddenly they don't, so they're more likely to be rear-ended. But there are other advantages as well. Learners take longer to do things. They take longer to use the gas, the clutch, the brakes. They take longer to steer accurately. Many experienced drivers forget this and don't appreciate how long it takes a new driver to use the gas pedal and find the clutch biting point to get the car moving, or even in an automatic, just using the brake smoothly. That is a challenge for a new driver. So if they're approaching the junction at a slower rate, they've got more time to do all those things, taking away the pressure, meaning they're probably going to do it better. But also they have more time to steer. And at the end of the road, often there's a mouth to the junction and they've got to follow that mouth round to the left if they're turning left. So it gives them more time to do that accurately. But it also gives them more time to find opportunities. If they're approaching a junction or some parked cars, say, and they can see a car coming and they know they need to wait for that car, they can maybe go a little bit slower, a little bit earlier. The car goes and then they go, meaning they don't have to stop. And on a hill, that can make life a whole lot easier because, well, if you stop on a hill, you have to do a hill start. So if you can avoid stopping, that makes driving a whole lot easier. Here is an example of how I can use my speed to create opportunities. I'm going to go right at this roundabout up here, so mirror signal right. I'm starting to brake enough that I will stop by the time I get to the roundabout. And if I see someone I need to give way to, instead of stopping like this white car here, I go slower a bit earlier, and this silver car, keep moving, and then I can go after them. That way I didn't need to stop, and therefore I created an opportunity. I have a video all about this driving method. I call it the two-stage stop, and I'll leave a link to that video in the top right-hand corner of your screen. The method makes driving a whole lot easier, particularly when you're going uphill. So, right at the roundabout, mirrors, signal, start slowing down a bit. That looks clear. I think I'll be able to go. Second gear, yeah, I think I can go here. Oh, what about the white car? Oh, thought they were coming round for a moment. Here's an example of where the going attitude can cause problems. The learner wants to turn left at this green light, but they don't want to slow down because they don't want to miss the green light. But when they get to the junction, they find themselves way too fast and in the wrong gear to be able to do the bend. It's better to slow down and get the appropriate speed and gear for the bend. And if you miss the green light, you miss the green light. Well, I made it that time. The going before decision attitude normally affects pupils who don't like to slow down following traffic. They're normally more nervous pupils. They don't want to slow down towards a junction or a hazard, slowing down all the following traffic only to get there and find out no one's coming, they didn't need to slow down or stop. But that's hindsight, and it's unfair to use hindsight to judge whether or not you made a good decision earlier. You can only judge whether or not you made a good decision based on the information you had at the time you made that decision. In my opinion, to be a safe driver, you need to be confident enough to slow down all of the following traffic, including people who are tailgating you whenever you're approaching a hazard or a junction and you're not sure it's safe to go. Quite often I slow down towards hazards and junctions, not knowing if it's safe to go, get there and find out I didn't need to slow down. But that's just part of being a safe driver. If you want to watch a video that goes into detail on how to deal with parked cars, I'll leave a link up there in the top right hand corner of your screen. Another example of where the going attitude can be a problem is when you're approaching a roundabout. You assume you can go, you don't slow down as much as you need to, and then when you find out you need to stop, then you stop suddenly. Very likely to be hit from behind. And I know there wasn't actually anyone coming round then, I didn't need to stop, but that's because I wouldn't do it if there was someone actually coming round, because I think that's out of order. Looking like you're going to pull out in front of someone and then suddenly stopping is not very fair in my opinion. I understand that if a car is following you and they drive into the back of you, it's usually their fault. And it should be that way too, because you can't take responsibility of their car. You can only take responsibility of your own. And if you need to brake in a hurry and they're following too closely to stop in time and they hit you, it should be their fault. But you should still drive in a manner which reduces the chances of a collision, regardless of whose fault it is. It's much safer to look like you're stopping and feel like you're stopping by the line. That way you have more time to change gear, more time to position the car and to make a decision. And it doesn't look like I'm going to pull out in front of this car. They have the confidence to know that I am giving way, which I think is fair. Also, don't be surprised if your insurance premium goes up if you make a claim that's not your fault. It does happen. When one of my pupils adopts the stopping until decision attitude, their driving usually improves, and quite dramatically sometimes as well. Their control gets better, they get smoother because they have more time to use the controls. Their decisions get better, again because they have more time, but also they're making a decision at a good time when they know it's safe to go, not too early where the whole situation changes before they get there and they have to change their mind. But also their whole body language changes. They look like they're under less pressure, they look less stressed, they seem more confident, which all goes to helping them learn to drive. Well, I hope this video helps. If you think it does, please give it a thumbs up and check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car for practice, Collingwood are there for you because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy. And at the moment, via the link, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out confused.com. You fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from different insurers to see who's cheapest. And you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like to see how much it costs to insure different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.